Hello, and welcome to Prohibition 101, but mainly the bootlegging part of Prohibition.
As you all know from our presentation before this video, you all understand the basics of prohibition and the causes and effects.
We'll be explaining some of the other topics that happened during the Roaring Twenties.
So let's set the stage. It's 1920, and prohibition was just ratified in the US.
Dice, you've been drinking?
Nah.
Good, 'cause you realize you can't buy alcohol anymore, right?
Why,
I said you can't buy alcohol anymore.
Holy hell, who take my booze? No one take my booze, boy. Dell said they would do it again.
Do what?
Flipping government take my booze.
Wait, Dice, come back. Where are you going?
1 week later.
Why you wasted?
I've been getting some of that bowls, mate. Give me some of the bowls. Hey, mate, I got some of that good stuff, mate. Okay, man, okay. Hey, I haven't seen you around. Interested in making some good dough?
As what? What we selling?
As bootleggers, son. We selling them good stuff, mate. Come on, I'll tell you more about the details inside. Away from prying eyes, you know. Welcome to the speakeasy, where the government can take our booze.
Oh, this is a speakeasy.
Yeah, man.
This was what many felt when the 18th Amendment was ratified. So, as you can see, many during this time weren't too happy with prohibition. Some of these people were bootleggers, which were people who smuggled alcohol.
And many were willing to make money out of it. Like a lot of money. I don't think you guys get it. Like a lot of money. Like a lot of money.
So the question is, how did they smuggle it? During this time, border control wasn't as strict as it is today, which meant that bootleggers could supply a thirsty American people with alcohol by smuggling it across the borders.
Kind of like the modern day drug runners employed by drug cartels around the world. They also did alcohol runs by ship. One of the more popular spots was a place only 3 miles from the coast of Atlantic City here in New Jersey.
Why 3 miles? Because at the time, the U.S. only had jurisdiction of 3 miles off the coast from treaties with other countries.
Thus, all bootleggers had to do was go 3 miles and they would be able to freely trade for alcohol. But this wasn't the only thing bootleggers had for them. Bootleggers, most of the time, had faster ships than the Coast Guard, meaning that they can outrun the Coast Guard when they were seen. This meant that the bootleggers themselves would never be caught by Coast Guard, because the Coast Guard could never catch them.
But as history has shown, people adapt to new situations. After realizing how behind the U.S. was on taking on bootleggers, the U.S. renegotiated treaties to expand territorial waters to 12 miles off the coast. They also employed faster ships and started to search ships for alcohol.
This meant that not only did bootleggers have to go farther for trade, they also had to make sure they weren't spotted. Well, because the Coast Guard can easily catch them now, with faster ships.
This change caused many bootleggers and consumers to resort to other sources of alcohol.
For example, at the time, drugstores sold medicinal whiskey, which could be bought through forged prescriptions.
But this wasn't the only way people obtained alcohol in general. Industries were permitted to use denatured alcohol, which was alcohol diluted with chemicals to make it unfit for drinking. But companies washed denatured alcohol with other chemicals and waters and sold it to speakeasies.
Sometimes they even added a hint of real whiskey for flavor. Tasty. Now, bootleggers also made alcohol from their own stills. This form was called rot gut, which potentially caused paralysis, blindness, and even death. Which was a small price to pay, apparently, to many drinkers.
That's hardcore, and bootlegging is also said to be a part of.
Oh yeah, which reminds me that most rot gut was made from corn. Many bootleggers made it through 4 steps. Now these 4 steps were milling, mashing, fermentation, and distillation. Now, if said bootlegger was interested in making it a little better of an alcohol, they would add aging and blending.
Whoa, Dice, how'd you know that?
Google?
Anyways, as I was saying before, being rudely interrupted, bootlegging can be said to be one of the causes of organized crimes. This was because the distribution of alcohol required a complex system. In many areas, entire gangs controlled local chains of distribution. Some of the things in these chains were concealed distillers, brewers, storage, transport connections, speakeasies, restaurants, nightclubs, etc.
Soon, gangs kept on growing and started collaborating with each other. And now this eventually led to the narcotics, gambling, prostitution, labor racketing, loan sharking, and extortion. Wow. But the biggest thing that collaboration between gangs caused was the rise of the mafia. And I mean, yeah, pretty extensive information we just dumped on you guys. Hopefully, you guys got it. Now, we hope that you enjoyed our little animation made by myself, Dice, and my friend here, Harris, and hope that you were able to understand even a little bit of the information we provided on bootlegging. And I'd like to now return it to our counterparts on the other side of this screen. And thanks for watching. Oh, and please do ignore the large pile of empty bottles next to me.